about lights, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about lights. Let's talk about lights. Mofo! Hands up if you ran out of spare parts and you didn't put spare parts on your favorite tank in the whole world. That'd be me. There you go. That's the VK2801. Today we're going to be talking about lights. I'm Bushka on Blitz, and you actually have come to the right place. This is where you come if you want to know what the hell you should be putting on your loadouts and why you should be putting it there. And let's do it. As always, this is a patron-sponsored post. If you want to help keep the channel alive, keep the channel rolling, and make my wife a happy woman who is happy with her husband doing what he does for a living and doing it every day, then yeah, become a patron sponsor, and it would be really, really cool. Otherwise, just sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee, and stay glued to your iPad screens. We're going to talk about light tanks and the equipment loadouts. Well, light tanks have been pretty freaking well affected by this whole change up. And much like TDs and mediums, they're very, very diverse in their nature and have different wants, needs, and such. However, I think they are a lot easier to quantify with good equipment loadouts that will suit a lot more tanks than you'd otherwise expect. That may change when we get some American lights, if they do indeed come to the game anytime soon. I've not seen them anywhere, so I'm not speaking out against an NDA there. I've not seen them yet. But there are American tanks that are light tanks that do have big bugger off derpy guns and may well have special needs. But we'll find that out as we move forward in time. Across the board, I'm recommending gun rammer with light tanks. First and foremost, your bottom three. There's a reason for this. You may have bad penetration if you got nerfed and lost some penetration. And that's well and good, like my good mate, the LTTB. However, and this is important, you can fix penetration issues by using premium ammunition. A lot of you might not like that, but it's a fact of life. If you don't like using Premo, Wargaming has catered specifically for you. You can get plus 5% to your penetration with any kind of shell just by pressing that button there at the top left. You've got to give up 7% to reload time, but the other guys you're fighting don't have as good a penetration numbers as you. And that's all there is to it. For me, with you're in a light tank, you are going to be smacking people on the reload as fast as possible when you choose to engage. You've got incredible camo, the best in game, even more so now that binoculars and camo net is no longer a synergistic equipment choice that TDs and other people can use to negate and nullify your ridiculous 70 kilometer an hour full camo spec that you still get to run. So I'd be going with gun rammer. It's just a lay down misère. If you can get 7% more damage per minute, do it. If the engagement lasts for 20 seconds and you do 7% more damage than you would have without it, do it. Vitality-wise, a lot of light tanks struggle with this because tanks like the SP1C, this little bugger here, well, he's got a crew inside that takes it every time. Every time he gets hit, someone inside gets wrecked. But your armor is so wafer thin that you're going to get HE shelled all the time. And because you're going to get HE shelled all the time, I'd probably go to the 10% of the protection of the engine, transmission, and ammo rack, plus 10% of the suspension and fuel rack durability. Because, well, I don't know. It's a tough one for those kind of tanks. For everyone else, like the LTTB, the RU25, the T54 lightweight, your Tier 4 and 5 light tanks, you basically, your looks, all these guys, you basically want to be running that. Module damage and everything really screws you up. You're far less likely to get set on fire, which is tough when you don't have a huge hit point pool and you are dealing with HE spammers who will often hit you through the front of your tank because you have such poor penetration, poor armor values. So go with the protected modules. Improved optics every time. Do not touch camo net. Your camo net in a light tank is a waste of time. Your camo on the move is the same as your camo when you are completely stationary. And no one can see you anyway. Like, your camo is so good, they're not going to see you. You need to improve your view range so you can fulfill, you actually still get the synergy. You get view range with camo. No one else gets that. TDs, everyone else, maybe a few TDs that have crazy camouflage like the cockroach, can still live with that. They will have speed, camo, and view range. But for the most part, you guys running around in light tanks at 60 plus kilometers an hour are going to have that synergy, and you will find your role will be far more defined now. You can play a very, very honest spotter's role on the game, on the map, and not have to do huge amounts of damage and still be really, really successful. Moving on to the second tier. All the light tanks should be running Supercharged. You are going to be firing a lot at medium to long range in a light. And by medium to long range, I'm talking about 150 to 250 meters, to even beyond that. You can see you have view range up to 273 here in the Panzer, in the Lux, sorry. I mean, that's another thing. This is an auto loader. So you're going to take the pen because your pen's crap. But you might also want to just get buffed across the board on other stuff. I'd take the pen because your pen's terrible. That would be the only time you'd really look at taking the pen. If you're an auto loader and your penetration is rubbish, like the MT25, the Lux, the Leopard, the Stuart, those are the kind of tanks where the penetration would really, really help you, okay? Sorry I missed that, guys. I forgot about that on the first tier. If you've got bad pen and you're a light, take the penetration module. It's great. Over here, back to Supercharged. You're going to be moving all the time. Enhanced gun laying drive will not help you. You're going to be doing so much movement. You really need to be scooting around the place. And especially tanks with poor shell velocity or auto-loader rounds, that will be massive. Minus 30% to penetration decrease with distance on low caliber shells at low tiers will be really, really helpful to you. And higher tiers at the LTTB, the T54 lightweight, those kind of tanks, if you're sniping and you're at 250, 270 meters and you're going up against hard shelled targets, that is a great skill. Enhanced armor. One of the few tanks in the game that I wouldn't take enhanced armor on is this little number here, the Tier 7 SP1C. Because you have like the most ridiculously bad armor. You know how they made the armor for this tank? They used to go down to Coles and they'd pick up some aluminium foil and they'd wrap it around a couple of times on a small frame, and there, voila, you've got a tank. Now paint it a funny color and send it off to battle. You've got 10 millimeters of armor all over the place. Just, your armor is never stopping anything, regardless of the angle you're at. You're only going to have to hope if they fire HE at you that it hits a module. If it hits a module, you'll absorb a lot of the HE damage. If it doesn't hit a module and it doesn't hit an auto bounce zone, it is going in. So I would go with the hit points just because there is a small chance that that will help you. 50 hit points, not much. That for you is probably one of the least friendly choices if you are in a super low armor tank. So that would be the last one I'd upgrade, by the way, at the second tier. The first one I'd upgrade would be Supercharge. And over here, I'm going with plus 7% to top end speed on most of my light tanks. Your acceleration is already good, but being able to get out of trouble is the key. Most of these lights have ridiculously good traverse. I mean, 67 degrees per second. At the moment, you traverse. Bump up your engine power even more and get around the traps very, very quickly. On the top, refined gun or V-stab. Some of these light tanks have crap dispersion on ranged guns. They really do. And it's not a bad idea if you're going to be doing a lot of sniping to get the refined gun. But vertical stabilizer, if you are brawling and rolling like I do and you are an aggressive player, is the winner for me. And that's what I'd run with. I cannot say that it is a must-have. You can certainly make a living if that's your play style using the refined gun, but V-stab would be the go forward. Toolbox. Just get Toolbox. Don't even wonder about why. Okay, fair enough. If you've got your... let's go over this one last time. I've done it in the other videos. You can get repairs up to 24% to your repairs of modules and everything. With Toolbox, you can get another 25%, which takes you up to about 50%. And then if you run Protective Kit, which you should be running, and this is an old loadout, sell that, buy Protective Kit. If you run Protective Kit, you then get 10% to speed of modular repairs. So you're running 60% to the speed of repairs. 60%. 60% off all that good stuff once you get your crew skills up and everything, which is pretty freaking quick in terms of repairs. So obviously that's why you run the Toolbox. And over here is the personal choice, up to you. 10% to cooldown consumable speed is good, but with my meds and my lights, I like to do the damage, and I like to get in there and be aggressive and brawl. And if I'm brawling, I want longer and stronger adrenaline. That's literally all I'm using it for. I'm using it for the ability to pump damage as quickly as possible. Play it like you got one hit point and move on with your life. I hope that was helpful, guys. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Look after yourselves. Stay safe on the battlefield and keep watching. There is so much stuff coming up. I've got an IS-5 review coming up in the next wee while as well. I've just dropped an absolute bundle of content. Hopefully I'll be streaming again very, very soon. And fingers crossed you'll be streaming with me. Make sure you tell your friends, your families, and everyone else to come along, subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel, stick around, talk downstairs in the comments section. Let me know what you think, and we can have a discussion. Stay safe, humans, on the battlefield.